Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back, NFL 2K Playmakers. If you're just starting out, haven't played the game, we got a beginner's guide for you. I'm going to give you all the tips, tricks, hints, everything that I can think of the first couple days of playing this game to hopefully help make your grind and your life when you're just starting this game just that much easier. Let me know in the comments if I did miss anything, and if you're new to the channel and you want to check out a stream, go in the description, go follow the Twitch page. We do stream this game over on Twitch. We'll also stream it sometimes on YouTube. Just haven't done that yet. We've been streaming over on Twitch a lot. But either way, hopefully you do enjoy. And like I said, if I did forget anything, let me know in the comments. Now, the first thing that you do when you first start the game is choose your favorite team. Now, this is going to be a little bit more important than you think. When you do choose a team, it's going to give you a few players from that team. 1 gold, 1 silver, possibly 2 golds, but at least 1 gold. You do need higher tiered cards in order to increase your deck. Well, there are a couple of positions in this game in which the golds are very limited quantity. And those positions are going to be offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and tight end, and then punter and kicker. Now, you can change your team later. So what you choose in the beginning doesn't matter. I recommend picking a team that has a very low quantity in that particular position. And the best team for that, I think, is the Chiefs. It has 1 defensive tackle, 1 tight end. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get either one of these two, but the defensive lineman and the tight end are certainly one of the hardest positions to get. And if you can get one of these in the very beginning, sometimes it's going to make your grind that much easier. I don't know specifically if you get kickers or punters. There are definitely not very many. I think only 2 of each. And so if you want to try your chances on maybe getting a kicker and a punter, you can go for the Bears, which has a kicker and an offensive lineman. We also have the Eagles, I believe. No, the Seahawks, which has a punter and then an offensive lineman. But pick one of those teams, and then when you start your game, you can change your team later. Next thing, which is kind of obvious, is be sure that you log in every day. Even if you don't play, just turn on the game and log in, and be sure to claim your login bonus. Now, the most important thing in these, at least in the beginning, is going to be this currency right here, these gold tokens. These are the tokens that you have to pay actual money for. You can buy packs with these tokens. I wouldn't recommend it in the beginning. I would wait till they, bring in more content, more tiers, more things like that. But at least stockpile these coins in the beginning so that way you have the option later on. Now, when you first start playing, at least for the first hour or so, I would probably recommend just playing Red Zone Drive and Quick Read. We're going to go over how to play each one of these game modes. You want to stockpile some picks, get some golds off the draft board before you begin your seasons. Now, as far as Quick Read goes, this works on energy. And so each energy refreshes like once an hour. So once you play 5 games of this, it takes 5 hours for you to get all your energy back. And that's okay. This game mode really isn't all that important, but it's pretty quick. So let's go through a game, and just so you can see how it works. With Quick Read in the beginning, there is a coin toss, and that's going to determine who goes first. It's definitely more advantageous if you go first because you can pick your own players. But here they went first. They picked a random 3 players on my team. They chose to be defense. And so they picked 3 of my offensive guys to go against, and then it's just stats. One stat versus another stat. Now, for me, I can either pick offense or defense, and they took guys off my offense last time, so I'm just going to pick defense. When you're doing this, you're going to want to pick the side that has the most golds or the most emeralds or whatever side has the highest cards. And so just look for the highest values. We got 2000 right there. We got a high 1800s, and then another 1800s right there. And so then it's just stat versus stat. Player versus player, and that just determines who wins that particular matchup. So since whoever goes first is obviously going to have the advantage, they get a pick twice, and so they'll pick 6 total players. So sometimes you could, get obviously screwed over by this, but it does go by really quick. And as long as you make it to 5, then you're good and you end up winning. You do get draft picks. You get 3 if you win the game. And then you get 4 if you go perfect. If you go perfect 9-0, you will get 4 off the draft board. And speaking of the draft board is really small, and a gold card will reset the draft board. So in the beginning, when you have silvers and golds, you're trying to get these gold players. Obviously, their stats are better than silver players. And so with the picks you have, that's why you're going to want to play, red zone, and then this one in order to try to get as many picks as you possibly can. Now, keep this in mind, when you do get to emerald tier, gold still resets the draft board, except when you get your reset, you have a possibility of getting an emerald. Equipments also reset the draft board. Plays also reset the draft board. So anything that is a gold tiered card is going to reset the draft board. So always keep that in mind, and each single draft board is going to have a gold player. So you want to clear as many draft boards in the beginning as possible to get as many golds as possible, because you only start with 2 golds. You definitely need a lot more. Now let's talk about a red zone drive. Like I said, the 2 game modes you're going to want to play at least the first hour or so. Red zone drive, quick read. Red zone drive is divided up into 4 regions on the map. Now, the rewards are based on the region you play in, and this is very important and a really cool feature. I really like this. Remember when we were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs in the very beginning, how they have a defensive lineman and a tight end that don't have very many players of in that position, right? Well, all your draft picks, in whatever region you picked, all the draft picks you get are going to be from that specific region. So as far as Travis Kelce, Chris Jones goes, a tight end and a defensive lineman. Well, if we are looking for those 2 particular positions, maybe that particular player, or if you have, want the best player in the game, at least on the gold tier level, Lamar Jackson, you pick that region. And so, the Kansas City Chiefs are in the West, so we're going to pick the West. Now, all of our resets that we get, all of our gold resets that we get from the draft board are supposed to be from the West. I can't say that I 100% confirmed it, but that's how it works. So yeah, want to try to grind the best player in gold tier? Well, hey, come up here to the North. If you want to try to grind out some Kansas City Chiefs, maybe a tight end, maybe a defensive lineman, come out here and play in the West. Either way, it's really cool because you can try to get your favorite players, your favorite team, whatever, and narrow that player pool just that much to make it easier for you to get that pull. But you're just going to choose a region, and you're going to have 3 players pop up here on the right. Now, keep this in mind, because I don't know this to be exact fact, but I did test this out, and I believe this to be true. If you look at the top of the screen right here, this is my tier. I am in Emerald Plus. We'll just say 1 bar is Emerald, and then 2 bars is Emerald Plus, and then 3 bars is Emerald Plus Plus. So right now I'm just Emerald Plus. It does say on the right that all of these are Emerald Plus. But if you click the info button, this little dot right here, you'll see that the guy we're playing is actually Emerald Plus. And I have noticed and tested this out is that when I see one, for example, like this is Emerald Plus Plus, and I play that particular player, his deck is definitely Emerald Plus Plus and not this tier right here on the right side. So I would go through each of these info buttons. There is Emerald Plus Plus there. There was Emerald Plus Plus there, and then Emerald Plus there. And so I would pick the lowest guy. That is going to be your best chance. I would not pay attention to the tier that's on the right. I would pay attention to the info. Now, I don't know that to be exactly true, but at least from what I've tested, it appears to be true. Now, in this game mode, you can either be on offense or defense. You're only going to start on one of them. Defense is going to be harder than offense. So again, you might be at a disadvantage. When you play this game mode, There are a couple things that are important. Obviously, the type of play it is and the players that you're playing with. I would always pick, or most of the time, I would pick the players in which the matchups you're going to win. I have 3 emeralds here as opposed to 1 gold there. When you lose matchups, you lose percentage points. And so here, when you look at the matchups, we won all 3 of those matchups. So we got a plus 9%. So our offensive chance jumped to 54%. If we had a gold right there in that other play, on that gold, if we would have picked that play and then matched up against the emerald, we would lose 15% chance, possibly up to 15% chance, because the matchup was not good. Here's another thing to pay attention to: these blinking gold emblems down here at the bottom. That means one of the players in that particular play is going to get a boost. And so for this pass play of 0 to 3 yards, even though it is 56%, we have one that has a huge boost. And you want the players that have boosts, because the higher the difference is between your matchup, the more percentage points you're going to get to increase your chance. And so I have 3 emeralds in this one. I'm going to go with this one. You'll see 54%. They picked the correct play, so they got minus 10, but we got all those percentage points back because we won all of our matchups. So now it's up to 58% chance. We did get an incomplete pass, so that sometimes happens. I think one thing to definitely note is I wouldn't take a whole lot of stock into the percentages. There are plenty of times in which you have a 90% chance of getting it and the computer still stops you. There are plenty of times when you're on defense and the computer has a 10% chance to get the play correct and they still get it. It happens quite often. It almost feels like there's a hidden 20-25% chance, variation between the two. But either way, we have a gold here, we have a gold here. I'm not going to pick either one. I need ones with emeralds in it. So even though you picked the pass blitz, it's going to subtract 15% because he picked the correct play. We're at least going to get some of those percentage points back because we have better matchups. On my gold, we wouldn't get that. We wouldn't have that percentage boost. We would lose 15% because of it. So here we have 3 choices again: a run, and a run. Sometimes you don't really have a choice. We're going to go over Playbook in just a minute, or in a little bit, so you can see exactly what it is. But here we have a gold, and that's going to give us a better chance, a better boost when it comes to our matchup. So we're going to pick this one, -1 or +8. Run blitz, we had no choice. We had 3 runs. So of course they're going to get it right. But we got a lot of those percentage points back when it comes to it. So we're up to 58% chance. So hopefully we could get it, and we do. So we end up scoring our touchdown, and that is the basic idea when you're playing. Like I said, you either play offense or defense. Offense is certainly much easier than defense. It's harder to stop them on defense than it is on offense. Unless, of course, your defense is completely stacked with very high rated cards, it's going to be a little bit easier. But if you do win, you get 8 picks, right? At least when you score a touchdown. When you score a touchdown, you get 8 picks. If you're on offense, and kick a field goal, I believe you're only going to end up with 4 picks. You'll still get the win, but you'll only end up with 4 picks. When you're on defense, if you get a turnover on downs, I believe with no first downs, I believe it's going to be back to 8 picks. But if you turn it over on downs and they do get a first down, then I think it goes down to 5. And if you lose, I think it's only 3 or 2 picks. So obviously winning, scoring touchdowns, or getting a 3 and out, or in this case 4 and out. That's what the reset looks like. We are Emerald tier. Like I said, Gold can reset the draft board and will still reset the draft board. There's only a small chance of you picking up an Emerald. There's another thing too. These Gold or Silver helmet tokens. Whenever you fill up an entire player with leveling, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, when you pull that same guy that's completely maxed out, you do get these helmets instead of the actual player. So now let's talk about the cards themselves, all the cards that you get on the draft board. Now, there is no leveling up per se, like in WWE SuperCard or NBA SuperCard, where you actually have to feed cards into it. The only way to level up cards is to pull duplicates of that card. And so this particular silver card right here, all cards, at least as far as silver, gold, and emerald, go up to a level 14. Every single time you pull a duplicate off the draft board, it increases the stats of that card by just a little bit. So a completely maxed out for level 14 card is going to have the highest stats in that tier, or the best possible version of that card. And so one recommendation that I have, at least in the beginning, is don't sleep on silvers, okay? Especially when you're in gold tier. A completely leveled up level 14 silver with these 3 equipments on here, and we'll talk about the equipments here in just a second, with these 3 equipments on here is better than a lot of golds. You look at my running backs right here. We have the running back at 1198, and we got another one all the way over here, Dalvin Cook, I believe, at 1139. And so a completely maxed out silver, it's not going to apply for every single silver, especially the crappy ones, but a decent silver leveled up to level 14 with some equipments on it is better than your base golds. Now, talking about these equipments, one equipment unlocks immediately the second you pull it off the draft board, then at level 5, then at level 10. So you have to pull 4 duplicates of that player to get your second equipment, and then 9 duplicates in order to get your level 10. Now, equipments are also pullable on the draft board, and one of my recommendations is that I would not put any gold or emerald, any equipments higher than that until you are trying to get to that next tier. And we'll talk about how to, or what the tier leveling is, because you're going to need them for your better cards. And once you have an equipment on here, if you try to put a new equipment on there, it will delete the equipment. And so if you put an emerald equipment on a card and you realize you want that equipment for something else, well, you can't do that. And once you replace that equipment, or once you take it off, it will permanently delete it. And so, yeah, that you definitely want to be cautious when you talk about putting in equipments. I would only use silvers. And one easy way to track what ones are the best, because each card has 4 stats on the right, and these 4 stats are going to vary. But if you look at your equipments, you'll see that each equipment has only 2 stats. These equipments are going to have a possibly gray value and a white value. Now, if it's grayed out, that means that that player doesn't have that stat. So I wouldn't put this helmet on this particular card, because this top 29 value, which is route running, is not applied to a guard, you know? So an equipment like this that has, I don't know, what is that? Strength and block. You're going to want to put, you know, an equipment that fits. So look at your equipments, find the ones where both the stats are white, and then add those to that particular card. Now, the stats of the cards are very important, and that determines what tier you're going to be in, which means all 10 of your offensive players, all 9 of your defensive players, and both of your special teams players are going to go into what they call your top cards. The rating is pretty simple. You just combine the numbers of all 22 cards, and that's going to give you your total deck value. And it has your deck rating in order to get into each of the new tiers. So, you know, leveling up a silver to level 14, putting on 3 equipments, which, at least as far as silvers go, have 100 value each on all 3 equipments. Equipments are important. The card tiers important. The leveling is important. Everything for every single position in your entire team is going to impact this. And when you're first gold, in order to make emerald, believe it or not, you do have to have not only an entire squad of golds, but you have to have 3, possibly 4 emeralds in your deck, in your top 22, in order to make this 30,000 threshold. It's going to be the same thing when we make it up to Sapphire. Now, we don't know, obviously, what's going to be after Sapphire, but at least as of right now, Sapphire is the top tier, and we got a long way to go. And it's going to take a lot of grinding and a lot of pulls, which at least in the beginning, that's why you want to stay on the draft board using those 2 game modes just to get as many resets, get as many golds as possible, increase your deck. Now you get XP for every single game mode you play and everything you do in the game. And this XP level is right here. We are level 17. There is a reward ladder. And a realistic expectation is that you're gonna wanna be Emerald tier by the time you hit level 15. That is kind of what I at least figured out, and that is what I did on the account, completely free to play, just grinding the game and trying to find those emeralds, trying to increase your deck. The reason why you want to do it at 15, and I think this is the earliest you can do it, unless you buy packs, of course, unless you're buying packs and getting packs that way and getting your cards that way. But just free to play, just playing the game, I think level 15 is a realistic expectation. You'll get 2 cards of your tier. So if you're gold and you hit level 15, you'll get 2 golds. But if you're still gold by the time you hit level 15, the golds really aren't going to be that important. You're going to want to be there by emerald. And so if you're emerald by the time you hit level 15, you will get 2 emeralds. Same thing at level 20. I am trying my hardest to try to hit Sapphire by the time I hit level 20, because if I hit Sapphire by the time I hit level 20, then you'll get 3 Sapphires. But if you're still Emerald, you're still Gold, you'll only get cards in that tier. So keep track of the milestones. Now looking down here at the bottom, we have our playbook. Now the playbook is going to come in 5 different types of plays: 1 to 2 yards, 3 to 8, 9 to 19, and 20 plus. Now you can switch out and change a variety of plays. I would certainly possibly recommend to only do plays that, well, for one, is kind of balanced, run and pass. Because when you get a play, or when you get a play when you're playing the game, you'll get random 3 plays. Now, whether or not it's truly random, I don't know. But if you have a particular, yardage, 1 to 2, 3 to 8, that are all pass, you're obviously only going to get pass, and that could be bad. So I would, 1, balance it out. Playbooks or plays come in all tiers. So silver, gold, emerald, etc. The better the tier, the better the play. And I would also kind of recommend not doing too many plays that have a negative outcome. Because believe it or not, even though your percentage might say 60%, 70%, 80%, the defense does stop you a little bit more than that. You know, if they only have like a 20% chance of stopping you, they'll probably stop you 40, 50% of the time. You know what I mean? So you don't want to have too many plays in here that are negative. I would just focus on not only top tier plays, but plays that balance out between run and pass for each of the values. Another thing I would recommend is utilizing the catalog. The catalog can be found down here at My Cards. You go over here to catalog, and the reason why this is important is because it tells you which cards are the best in that order for each of the tiers. When you're starting out the game, you kind of want to have an idea which cards to maybe invest in at level 14. If you get a card all the way to level 14, especially one of these top silvers, Alexander Jefferson, Josh Allen. You get one of these cards at the top tier silver all the way to level 14. They're actually going to be really decent cards on that gold tier level. They're going to be better than most of the golds you have, if not all the golds you have, because golds are going to be harder to duplicate. You'll get to level 14 fairly quickly, as you'll see in, say, my cards. Level 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, and then 12, 11. You see that I have quite a few cards already completely maxed out at level 14 because you get so many off the draft board. So keep this in mind, utilize this catalog. That way you can see which cards are the best, which ones to invest in. We got Lamar Jackson, Myles Garrett, both of those top 2 options for golds. So at least at the position, you can maybe invest in equipments and stuff like that for that player. Now, once you do get new cards on the draft board or add equipments to cards, things like that, you need to go over to your roster and you need to auto update. Now, this will put in all your best cards with the highest number. You can do this manually, though, if you want. You can see at the bottom, it tells you which cards are starting on my offense, which cards are in the reserve, and then which cards are not even being played at all. So you can put, one of these other cards in here into your starting lineup in order to maybe sandbag a little bit. I have not tested this method in which we used an NBA SuperCard and WWE SuperCard to kind of give you a better matchup when you're talking about the opponents you go against. But it certainly could be possible, and if you wanted to add one, manually, you can certainly do that on both sides of the ball, offense or defense. It's going to tell you your defensive players right here, and you can switch any of them out. Now let's take a look at the store real quick. I certainly have maybe a couple recommendations when it comes to the store. And first recommendation would be, well, don't spend any of your tokens. Okay, don't spend any of these silver helmet tokens, which you will get a lot of. There are some packs in here, but I would stockpile these until they put more cards, more packs into the store. But one thing to note is that the store actually changes based on your tier. And so when you first start out, you'll see only gold packs in the store. Not until you get to Emerald will you be able to get Emerald packs. Now you can purchase 2,000 of these coins, which is like $10 or $20 or something like that, to give you a 15% chance of getting a Sapphire. If you want to spend your money, that's fine. Totally cool. I, have no problem with that if that's what you want to do. But I would certainly wait at least until you're completely Sapphire tier. We're not Sapphire tier, but I'm going to expect that once we do get to Sapphire, there will be Sapphire packs as well. And maybe be able to, use your coins with that. But I would certainly save them, wait for future, and hopefully we get better packs and more packs in the store later on. All right, now let's talk about seasons. And this is an absolute fantastic game mode, especially to get those higher tiered cards. But at least in the beginning, like I said, the first hour, I would probably hold off on this, just trying to get some golds, maybe at least, 10, 11 golds, somewhere around there before you start. Once you get 10 or 11 resets, 10 or 11 golds, then jump into here. The beginning is pretty simple. You'll start off in preseason. You cannot do gold, you cannot do emerald until you complete preseason. Now that is just 4 games, and all the teams you face are going to be around that silver type of tier. Then once you complete that, you can move on over to the regular season. And the regular season, at least in the gold tier, is going to be all gold tiered decks. And you're going to need to have, like I said, 10, 12, 15, 18 golds in your deck in order to do fairly decent in this game mode. I'm going to give you a couple tricks, which is certainly very important. But this, season certainly offers a lot of really good rewards. I cannot look at the gold, so we'll just look at mine. The rewards are the same, just the tiers are going to be different. And so for regular season, you get reward packs at 4 wins, 8 wins, 12 wins, and 17 wins. And these are going to be golds in the gold and emeralds in the emerald. So every time you get to this milestone in the game, you're going to get a reward pack. When you make the playoffs, you have to have 9 wins to make the playoffs, which is definitely doable. And again, I'm going to give you a hint on how to do this, a trick. But each of these you get packs. And so for the gold tier, you're going to get gold, 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 all the way up to Super Bowl. And once you win Super Bowl, you're going to get an emerald card. In emerald, you're going to get a sapphire if you win the Super Bowl. Now, like I said, in the gold season, the teams you face are going to be around that gold plus or gold tier, gold plus. So you're going to need some golds to do it. And even if you're still gold, you can start the emerald season as well, because you'll notice that the total deck strength is only around 24K, but that's only the first couple games. And so your first actual 5 games, actually first 4 games, around 25,000. Your week 5 game is still in gold plus plus, but it's around 30. But once you hit week 6, that is when the difficulty is really going to kick in. And so if you're still that gold tier, you're not going to get anywhere further than week 6, because the teams are 40,000 emerald, which is really, really difficult. I mean, we're still only 37,000 and we're kind of struggling a little bit in here. But again, I'm going to give you a trick and a hint on how to do well in this. But you, as a gold tier player, and at least in the beginning, you can make it through the preseason, the gold season, and up to week 5 in your emerald season before really having to grind for the emeralds. Now, I think here's going to be one of their most important tips and tricks in this game, especially when it comes to seasons. We are in week 13. We are playing the Texans. We are 40K against 40K. We are only 38K around there. We have approximately the same team, which does make this a little bit easier to do. You're not going to be able to punch up like 10,000 over. It might be really, really hard. But score touchdowns, 6 plays or less. Keep in mind that when you do play this game, it's going to give you an objective down here at the bottom in the seasons. Sometimes you'll be on defense. Sometimes you'll be on offense. Okay, so it's going to give you one of them, and it's going to give you an objective. When you're on defense, it's either like, do a 4 and out, where they can't get a first down at all. Or maybe it's going to be don't let them score a touchdown or something like that. When you're on offense, you have to get either a certain number of plays or you have to complete a certain number of runs, etc., in order to be successful. But either way, let's do our plays, and it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pick emerald. They're going to have all emeralds on their team, so it's going to be fairly difficult. I mean, we're going to have really low percentages when it comes to this, which is why this trick is very, very useful. Only 24% on this one. We'll see how this one plays out. And we got an incomplete pass. Kind of expected. It's 24, only 24%. Score a touchdown in 6 plays. So that was our first play. We have just 5 plays left. We want to get some yardage, though, right? And for big plays, you don't have a lot of Playbooks selection, but we're still going to pick this one. They did a run blitz, so that gives us a plus 15, which is nice. And we ended up with a couple matchup bonuses. So 52% is pretty solid on a 20-yard gain. And I know I've said before in the Playbooks, we ended up with a sack, 50%. Like I said, you're going to notice that the percentages aren't actually the percentages, to be honest. If you do 10, 50% plays, I would expect to be successful in like maybe 3 or 4, not half of them. But either way, that was our second play. We're on 3rd down, though. We need 15 yards. Just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to do this one again, 0 or 29, because it really doesn't matter. Look at this silver. Watch this matchup play. Minus 10%. We ended up with minus 10% on that because of the silver. That's why I always say when you pick your play, be sure you're picking the matchup as well, which is certainly very important. Only 10% chance, that is fine. It is 4th and 15 now. We haven't scored our touchdown, and we'll probably lose this game. So what do you do? Well, solution is simple. Take your phone, hard reset, close the app completely. Boom. And then you could go back into the seasons and try again like it never even happened. This is going to be one of the most important tricks in seasons because you're going to want to be undefeated. You want to get the most rewards possible. You're going to want to win the Super Bowl every single time you play the seasons. I guess another important thing is that you do have to close it before it ends. So I would recommend doing it on 4th down. If you want to take that chance just to see if you complete the play, the animations go by really quick. So I'd be really cautious, and it does register really quick. And so I would just do it when it's 4th down, just so a play before it doesn't take much time. Just close it, restart it, and then try it again. But I certainly hope that I covered everything. If I did miss something, please let me know in the comments. I've been having, like I said, a lot of fun playing this game mode so far. And yeah, I mean, I've been really enjoying it. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to play. I like how, the play is. I like that it's a card collector, very similar to NBA SuperCard, WWE SuperCard. We have it for the NFL. I've been, pleasantly surprised. And like I said, if you want to come check out a stream or whatever, head in the description, go follow the Twitch page. That will get you there. But either way, hit the thumbs up if you did enjoy. And let me know in the comments what you think about this game. Do you think that it's fun? Are you enjoying it? Are you trying to grind to that Sapphire tier? I mean, we still don't know about a lot of things. Are there going to be events? Are there going to be teams or clubs? Are they going to add, more tiers, more cards, all of that stuff? I expect they will, but yeah, I'm really happy this game's around. I'm certainly having a lot of fun. But either way, guys, I will see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.